Okay, number one, you're comparing dollars and pounds, so you set it up just like a proportion, dollars and pounds. So put this one over that one, and then per pound, meaning one. This is 1 pound. So you cross multiply and solve. So you put your pound right here. Otherwise it's unit rate, you just divide. Okay, the first thing you look at when it comes to similar figures is whether they have turned them or not. In this case, notice they have flipped it, so you've got to be careful to set up the appropriate sides. So JK matches QP. So you're looking for JK and QP. See how they're across from each other right here? That cannot be. They could be on top of each other or they could be next to each other because they are corresponding sides. So they have QR and KL. QR is this one and KL is that one, and those are corresponding sides. So it's going to the right to the left. So let's see if this is going from right to left. PS, which is the blue one, and JK or JM, which is K, which is that one also. Not the right one, because that is then the pink one. So that is a side over that long piece, and that doesn't work. And you continue on until you find the right one. If you notice, QR is the side, and KL is the corresponding side. So right one over left one. PS is the blue over JM, which is the blue, the outside edges. So that one works. Okay, it's talking about outcomes. So you have your number cube and you know there's 6 sides on it. So you write 1 through 6 and then heads or tails. So if I roll a 1, I could get heads or tails. If I roll a 2, I could then get heads or tails. And these are your total outcomes. These are your total, the last row. You don't count the numbers, just this last row. So I know there are 12 different outcomes, but this is asking 6 or 4 greater than 4. So that's the 5 and 6, and that's those 4 right there. And you have your list. So 5 heads, 5 tails, 6 heads, 6 tails, and there it is. All right, so you start setting up your equation for it. There are 5 x's, so you write 5x plus 6, and that equals 1. And then you do your 2-step equation. Subtract and then divide by 5. And you get your answer of -1. You must consider your integers. Positive, negative, it's going to get you a negative because that 6 is larger. Then you divide by a positive and it becomes negative. Notice they're having a positive in it, positive there. So you got to be careful and use your integer practice. If you accidentally add these, you will get something like this. So be careful how you are solving for your integers. Okay, as soon as I see a table or a bar graph, I see these, I put these totals on there, so it's easy. And it says in the problem, total of 55, so I know these add up to 55. Now, majority of all these problems are a proportion. It says, which type of music chosen 40%? Well, 40%, I automatically know of 55 when I calculate it and set up my proportion. 40%, that's 40 over 100, and that whole of the table is 55 because of this. You cross multiply and solve, and I know 40% of the 55 is 22. So then I just look for the ones that add up to 22. All right, be careful. We're looking, obviously it's open, so it's surface area. So now check to make sure it's lateral or total. Remember, lateral is only the petals, not your base, but this one's total, so that means I need to include my base. So I find the area. First I look, and this is a square, so all 4 sides are equal. That means the 4 petals are also equal. So that is 12 times 8, but half. And that gets you 48 for this one. Never use this slant height. Never use that slant height. Don't use it. It's there as a distractor. Remember that right angle is the one you're looking for your triangles. And then, of course, add your square to it. So 4 of the triangles, the square, and you get your grand total. All right, so interest rate. We didn't speak a lot about this, so you're going to have to use your formula chart. And interest rate is on the formula chart. I equals PRT. P is the principal, meaning the original amount of loan that you want. The R is the rate, which is your percent, how much they're going to charge you to borrow it. And then T is the time you're going to borrow it. And I is what you're going to pay them for that loan. The final answer. So you just substitute in the principal, the original loan, the percent, of course, you're changing it to a decimal, moving twice. So 4% is actually 0.04, and it says per year, so it's 1 year, and you multiply it all out. And that gets you your interest, which must be lower than the original loan. Remember, interest is what the fee they're charging to borrow it, so it's not going to be more. It's not asking for a total. So if it asks you for a total amount of your loan, you're going to take the original loan plus the interest, and you're going to get A. All right, so this is a multi-step question. You got to just read it carefully and make sure you're doing all the steps. Okay, so 32 glue sticks, I color-coded it at this price. You multiply those. Crayons for this price, and you need 32 of those also, so you multiply those. How much you're going to spend is you could add those up and get how much you're going to spend on those purchases, but don't forget the last step. Otherwise, you're going to get the wrong answer. You have to subtract it from 80. You have to subtract it from 80 because that is what's left over after these purchases. Number 5, the diameter of 22, and it gets talking about circumference. So draw out your circle and then look at your formula chart. C equals pi d, and you substitute in. Pi is always 3.14. In this case, they tell you the diameter is 22. Multiply it out for your answer. All right, probability, y'all's favorite. You add them up, get that total first, and there's 10 cans. Now, here's the part you got to look for. Are they putting it back, or are they going to keep it out and use it? So then he puts it back. So that means it's an independent event, meaning your denominators will stay the same. So it's looking for tomato soup and then cheese. You look for tomato, and that's 2 out of 10. It's 2 tenths. And cheese, because I put that tomato can back, there's still 10, and there's 2 out of 10. And you multiply straight across. Don't forget to simplify. All right, number 11, it is 25 kilometers per hour, because when you fill it in, 1 hour and then between 0 and 50 is a 25. So your pattern is 25 here and is increasing by 1. So that is 25. This one is not, because this is what you multiply. So this is 25x, not 25 plus x. This one is increasing for 25 hours and 1 kilometer. So that is not, that's more like a snail's pace. 24 hours and 1 kilometer is backwards. This is time. So these are got to go by 1s, and those have to go by 25s. When you divide to find your unit rate, because we're just comparing two things, divide, you don't get 25. All right, so you're just going over and got to figure out which one is, which each individual. Percentages, we're going to multiply, because you're finding 15% of something. So you're finding 15% of 35. So that's this piece right here in purple. You multiply 35 bucks times 15%, which is 0.15, and you get $5.28 or 25 cents off. $5 off is just given. It's 5 bucks off. And then this, remember, means divide by 5. So you divide it by 5, 35 bucks divided by 5, and you get $7. So you're going through and you're trying to find, oh look, best sale price. Best sale price meaning I'm taking the most off. And I take $7 off in Z instead of $5.25 or just $5. So Z wins. Notice the distractors they put in there. CH. It is true. This does come out correct, but it's not the best price. about the sale price of these shoes. It's not the best.